There are lots of small birds on the market with which you can make an adorable mini fried chicken for 1 or 2 people. Smaller pieces are way easier to fry anyway. You could do a Cornish hen. In the States, they have them frozen at most grocery stores. Or you could do what I'm using, squab, a pigeon. That's just over a pound, maybe half a kilo. If it comes with any organ meats, those are good to fry too. Step 1 is to use kitchen scissors to cut out the spine. This is much easier to do on a tiny bird than on a big chicken. Snip up one side of the backbone and then the other. Hey, they left the neck connected. I've got the whole central nervous system minus the brain. Save that for stock or something. Now we've got a spatchcocked pigeon. I want to split that along the 2 sides of the breast. On a chicken, I would put my knife in the little groove along the breastbone there, but the breastbone on this bird is convex, not concave, so I'll flip it around and then cut from the other direction. Maybe saw a little bit just to get the knife securely seated in a groove. Then I can just push down on the spine of the knife. With a small bird, it's easy to crunch through even these big bones. 2 pieces. Look at that breast meat. Pigeon is 100% dark meat, which makes it great for breading and frying. It's virtually impossible to overcook. Time to separate the leg quarters from the breast quarters. Just feel for the natural split between them and crunch right through the hip joint, which again, real easy to do on a small bird. Proportional to the breast, the leg quarters on a pigeon are very small, so you could leave the leg and the thigh connected, but I just want to see that tiny little drumstick, so I'll cut those off. I usually cut into the crook of the knee and then pull it apart to expose the joint so I can see exactly where to push my knife through. The wings are proportionally small too, so I'm going to cut those off with a big piece of breast attached, just cutting straight through the bones there. And then with the remaining piece of breast, I'll cut that in half too. 3 pieces from each side of the breast. That breast is where most of the meat is on a pigeon. I'm going to rinse these pieces off just to get rid of any tiny bone fragments. Dry those pieces on towels, and then rather than do the southern buttermilk soak thing, I'm going to dry brine these pieces. Cover them in enough salt to season the meat and the breading. Pepper too, and maybe a little garlic and onion powder. The breading on top will protect that from burning. Toss that all around. I think buttermilk brine makes better flavor, but dry brine makes crispier texture and a lighter coating. If my coating isn't light on these tiny pieces, the breading to meat ratio will be way off. Skin side up so the skins can dry, and then in the fridge this goes uncovered for at least an hour. Overnight is better. Dry skin means crispier pieces. I'm going to have this with a potato salad. Yeah, it's a carb-heavy meal, so let's balance that with a breakfast from Magic Spoon, the sponsor of this video. Magic Spoon is this company that sends you boxes with all of your childhood favorite cereal flavors, but check it out. There's no cereal in the cereal, no grains. It's chiefly made out of milk protein. It's a protein shake. 0 sugar. This one has only 4 net carbs and a whopping 13 grams of protein. The texture is almost exactly like a kid's cereal, and the flavor is exactly like a kid's cereal. On top of the classic flavors like fruity here, they're always adding new ones like blueberry and cinnamon. Build your own variety box today. Hit my link in the description and use code Ragusia. You'll get $5 off your order. MagicSpoon.com/Ragusia. Use code Ragusia, save $5 on your box. They deliver here in the US and in Canada now too. Plus, if you don't like it, you get a refund. No questions asked, but you'll like it. Thank you, Magic Spoon. So, I've got like a pound max of red potatoes and I'll boil them whole. Meanwhile, I can chop up a couple of green onions. They're going to be basically raw, so I'm being careful to slice very thin down in the whites where they're pretty firm and strong. 1 small garlic clove. It's going to be raw, and raw garlic is extremely powerful. Just a little, finely minced. For my dressing, I'm going to use a lemon, but you could use vinegar. Half a lemon is probably more than enough for most people, but you know about me and acidity. Then olive oil. In the US, potato salad is usually dressed with mayonnaise, but you can use any salad dressing. This is my basic mustardy vinaigrette. A little upside down bear brain, stir that up. The whole grain mustard is a good emulsifier, and mustard goes great with potatoes. Ask the Germans. Potatoes are done when you can just barely pierce them to the core with a sharp knife. Pull them out. Let them cool for a sec, and then dice them up. See how the skins are slipping off? I cooked these a little too long. I don't want mashed potatoes. I want them to hold their shape. Get a big bowl, dump everything in, season conservatively with salt and pepper. I can taste and adjust in a sec. Pour in some dressing, again conservatively. I can always stir, taste, and add more. Needs a little more dressing, no more salt. Check this out, cilantro with a U instead of an I. They happen to have this at my store. It tastes exactly like cilantro, coriander leaves, but it has a crunchy texture like a salad green rather than an herb. That should be a lovely addition. An hour sealed in the fridge and this will taste like potato salad, but a day or 2 is better. The flavor improves. I'm going to bread my pigeon in equal parts AP flour and starch. This is potato starch, but cornstarch would do it. A little spoon of baking powder is nice too. Stir that up, and that mixture will create a very light breading, which again won't overwhelm the tiny pieces of meat. The baking powder will contribute some air, and the starch will disrupt the gluten structure of the flour. Super light and crispy. Gotta beat an egg. One is really too much, but they don't sell half eggs yet. Make sure that you beat it really well to loosen it. That way it won't be too thick on the meat. Here's the dry brined pieces. I'll dust those in just a little of my flour mixture and toss. This is just to give the egg something to stick to. Coat that in just enough egg to make them wet all over. Whoops, that's too much. I'm going to get cakey breading. Problem solved. Now, just enough of the flour to get a nice powdery coating everywhere. The smaller the vessel we fry in, the less oil we have to waste and dispose of. I've got a tiny little 8-inch skillet. Non-stick is nice. The pieces can stick to the bottom, but it's not super necessary. Oil in. Peanut oil is my favorite neutral oil these days. It can get real hot without stinking up the house. I'll heat that to no more than 300 Fahrenheit, 150 C. Even with mini fried chicken, I like to fry chicken very gently, at least at first. That piece may be fizzing more aggressively than I want it to, but by the time I fill this tiny pot with all my pieces, the temperature is going to drop a lot. Smaller pieces in last so they don't overcook. That kind of gentle fizzing, I think, makes the best pan-fried chicken. That is, chicken that is only halfway submerged in oil as opposed to deep-fried chicken. Yes, I know it's a pigeon, but I'm using pigeon to make a dish called fried chicken. When the bottoms are just barely golden, I'll start flipping. If you want them darker brown than that, you can crank the heat at the very end. But if you go slow, you give the meat time to cook all the way through and to soften a bit before anything has any chance of burning. Plus, I think pale blonde color on the crust really does taste best, but that's just me. The pigeon is all dark meat, right? So if you judge doneness by the color that the juices run, they're probably never going to run clear like they do from white meat. I'm just looking for the juice to go from bright pink to reddish brown, brick. I'll flip everything some more right at the end there to make sure every surface is crisp. Use a thermometer to be safe. Taste-wise, I think 175 Fahrenheit is the minimum temperature for dark meat, 80 C. I prefer it a little hotter than that, but these are tiny pieces encased in hot oil, so they're going to keep cooking as they sit on the draining rack and rest. Got to account for that. I like potato salads because they're all in one sides, veg and starch and sauce all in one dish. The acid of the dressing will cut the richness of the meat. Remember, the breast pieces are really the only ones with much meat at all if you're using a pigeon, but I just love that micro machine drumstick. Super crispy and done in way less time and in less oil than if we had fried a big chicken. Look at that. That's the breast meat. Pigeon is awesome. Get a little tart salad with that bite. Grocery stores here in the States usually have a frozen poultry bin with lots of unusual options. Choose a tiny bird and fry it up. It'll make you happy.